Hi, welcome to the Growing Further podcast, where we talk to innovators and entrepreneurs. I'm your host, David Amara, and today I'm delighted to be joined for a really special episode by Ankita, the CEO of BillionCarbon. BillionCarbon were the winners of the 2025 overall award at the Growing Further Awards. They have a really interesting business based in India that's helping tackle the problem of food waste across the world head on. I really hope you enjoy it. Ankita, great to see you again.
Thanks, David. I'm really glad to be here again.
This is your second trip to Dublin this year. So
this year, yes.
In January, you came over the Growing Further Awards and you were crowned winners. So hopefully a good experience for you guys.
Amazing experience. Unforgettable, I would say.
Brilliant. Well, it's autumn time now, so the weather's a bit more favourable. January was a bit of a...
Much better, in fact. I remember the last time we came, it was really difficult to even step out due to the wind and the occasional rains and, of course, the plummeting temperature. Yeah. But now it's quite pleasant.
But you lived in the UK before, so it wasn't an entirely new experience for you. It wasn't your first European winter experience. So tell me a little bit about your background, your studies, and then we'll maybe talk about what led to BillionCarbon.
Sure, yeah. So a little bit about me. I'm a computer science engineer by qualification, and after that I joined a consulting firm for quite some time. Had some stints here and there with some startups, with some technology firms. Then went on to get an MBA from London Business School. That's when I was in UK.
So your undergrad and your kind of initial experience was all in India?
Was all in India, yes, okay. That's right.
And why the move to the UK? It's a big
Well,
step.
I knew that, my second degree would have to be an MBA because I was not like a master's in engineering student or interest for me. And I knew that, the business world...
You knew enough they didn't want to go deeper into that world, is that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So that much was enough. And then I wanted to know how really to build businesses. And that's the reason why I wanted to do an MBA. Now, why a European school? That was majorly because of the diversity that Europe brings in. The options were Europe versus US versus Australia. And then it was quite clear that the diversity that the European schools are bringing in is much better than US or Australia.
So your classmates are coming from a broader range of cultures and backgrounds?
In my batch, we had people from 80 different countries, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wow.
That was an amazing experience, just to be with them, just to understand how the world works.
Yeah.
And to just broaden the horizon, broaden the worldview. That was quite fulfilling, I would say. And so, that's when I saw 2 European winters.
Okay, yeah. And London is an amazing city to live in and experience as well.
That's right, yeah. So, and then, after that...
Well, apart from let's stick for London for a little bit. So apart from studies, what did you enjoy doing when you were knocking around London? I'm sure MBA is full on, but I'm sure you had some spare time. But
Well, I was a part of the women's rugby team.
Oh, really?
Touch rugby, not the actual tackle rugby. That was the first time I ever played rugby in my life.
Oh, wow. Touch rugby is often the gateway drug to full contact rugby. But you resisted, did you?
Yes, that's right. But that was quite fun. And I remember we used to play even when it was like negative temperatures. That was so new for me because in India, even if it is 10 degrees, we just wouldn't go out to play, right? Yeah. So just learning how to get into that mode of, okay, now sports mode is on and it doesn't matter if it is 0 degrees outside or it's snowing outside, it's worth playing. That was, I think, a very new experience for me. I got to learn a lot about the limits of my body, in fact.
Well, what's the phrase? There's no such thing as bad weather, just inappropriate clothes. So
exactly, yeah. I got a whole new set of clothes for that one.
And did you enjoy your rugby career? How were you?
Yes, it was short, but it was really good.
Sure. Very good. That's definitely a cultural thing you wouldn't have experienced otherwise. Yeah, cool. And did you make good friends in the MBA course and good contacts and networks?
Absolutely. I'm still in touch with a lot of them. Quite a few of them came for my wedding, which was after my MBA.
Very good.
And still in touch with a lot of them, in fact. Great story about how I've actually influenced quite a few of my batchmates to move into climate tech.
Okay.
From LBS. So we've been in touch. I've been telling them about what I'm doing and how this is actually more impactful, or, just the world of climate tech and why we should be focusing on that right now rather than anything else in the world, right?
And was that an area that you were kind of interested in prior to doing the MBA, or did something in the MBA kind of open your eyes
So
to?
I think climate has always been very close to my heart, and I always knew that climate would be my second career. So now this is a COVID story. So when COVID hit,
we all have COVID stories, but it's great to hear. Yeah.
So when COVID hit, I think that was quite a wake-up call. And the only thing I thought at that time was, I know climate is going to be my second career, so why not now? So I think that was when I took the plunge. Before that, I was involved here and there with initiatives with, making my personal life more sustainable. But COVID is where I actually took the plunge into making it into a career.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the
Wake-up call.
catalyst for you. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
What about that MBA course, I suppose, what were the main benefits of doing it? What did it open up your eyes to? And what if someone is looking at this, kind of considering maybe doing it, what would you say to them?
I think the one big thing was just opening up your mind to new horizons, new ways of how the world works, how societies function, how cultures function, and how businesses function. So I remember, there's at London Business School, there's this thing called Global Business Experience, in which we are taken to another country and we get an immersive experience for, I think, about 2 weeks or so of how business is done in that country. So I went to Latin America for that, to Peru.
Wow, very cool.
And the startup scene over there
By
was
yourself or with a group from your...
The entire group.
The entire group, okay.
Yeah, so I think there are some 5 or 6 that you can choose from. So the people who had chosen Peru, they came with us. They came with me. And so the startup scene over there was quite buzzing and very similar to India, but also slightly different in the sense, in terms of the kind of problems that they want to work on, or the work culture, or...
well, let's talk about that, because that is interesting. So
sure,
what are the main differences in Peru and India?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are many, but...
Yeah, I think both of them are developing economies. Mm-hmm. So the kind of problems that people are focusing on are those. For example, I remember, I think one of the startups we met was a delivery startup, food delivery or something. And that was the exact time when in India also a lot of people were trying to figure out how to get food delivery done, right? Now there are 2 big behemoths doing it, Swiggy and Zomato. But that it was the similar time when people were sitting in this sized room and figuring out and coding away and trying to build a startup for food delivery. Right. So that was very similar, the vibe, the energy that you would see back in India for building a tech startup. Yeah. I come from the tech world now in food waste, but yeah. The differences, I think, was once it is evening, once it is like late evening, people would just chill in Peru, and Latin America is they would just dance away, and it's quite a while now, so I don't even remember exactly, but yeah, I think that's one big difference.
You think they're more conscious of work-life balance? Or?
I think so. I wouldn't say work-life balance in the sense that it is there in Europe.
Yeah.
But more around, okay, now work is done, now let's party.
Okay, right.
That kind of a thing, right? Now let's live life.
Yeah.
Whereas in India...
They're not putting life on hold until that's
exactly
in place. Everything's in place.
In India, it's always like, if this work is not done, I will sit till 12 in the midnight or maybe the next morning to just finish it, and then I'll think about partying if I have the time.
Okay.
Or, I'll think about work-life balance. And that has always been the culture with India.
Yeah.
And that's what we see even now, even like 10 years, 12 years later, we see that even now.
And where does that come from in Indian culture, do you think?
I think it comes from our upbringing and the struggles that our previous generations have seen, especially coming from the British Raj. I don't know if I should bring that up, but...
Oh, no, I'd say.
No, I think from there on, it has always been inherent in the culture that, whatever we are doing, we need to do it more than is needed
Okay.
so that we are able to show it in the best sense possible.
Yeah.
If we stop now, then we are losing time, that kind of a feeling. And I think that
so
just
kind of
lingers
a hangover
on.
from colonial times.
I think so,
Feeling the need to
I'm
go
not
the
a
extra mile.
social scientist and I haven't read too much about it, but I think this is what I see. And like, for example, a very good example that I can give is when I was a kid, we used to study, and when we would go out to play and come back, and then if we had time slots of this is the time for TV, and then this is the time when you do your homework, and if we don't stick to that, or let's say if we don't complete the homework, and if we go back to school the next day without doing the homework, then it becomes like an inherent feeling of, oh, I've missed out on something.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's I think it's just that
it's very competitive, I guess.
It is actually, yeah. I think that's another thing which just leads it to that, because talent is so immense now in India, and due to which competition is so immense in India for everything. For example, in my engineering college, when I appeared for it, I think about 10 lakh students appeared for it. 10 lakh is 1 million. So 1 million students, 1 million or over that, appeared for my engineering entrance exam.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And I was among...
For how many places do you think?
For about 400 to 800 seats.
Wow.
And I was among the top 80. And that came from all the efforts, all the studying that I had put in for the previous 4 to 5 years. And it takes that much time and effort to actually secure a place for yourself.
That's incredible. Yeah.
And I think that's another reason why the culture has become so competitive.
Yeah.
And this is not just the case with engineering. Engineering, it's the same with arts or commerce, in fact. Commerce is also very competitive. Medical is even more competitive than this, because the number of colleges in India are so less.
Yeah.
So like 1 million just multiplied by 10. Probably for the same seat, 10 times more people would be competing when it comes to medical.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, it's a vast country, and it's obviously got a huge developing middle class and everything. And
yes.
You've been kind of at first-hand witness to all of that over the last number of years. So how do you think India has kind of changed since you were growing up, since you were a kid?
A lot, I think.
Because you've got a 2-year-old son, Kabir,
yes,
who's with you on this trip, and the India he's grown up in, I guess, is very different to the India that you were.
Very different. And I think our parents would have had the same feeling, because I remember, of course, we grew up without mobile phones, and now he's growing up knowing what a mobile phone is.
Yeah.
And he knows exactly whose mobile phone it is. If you give him 10 phones, he'll know this one is mom's, this one is dad's.
Yeah.
So, that kind of memory and that kind of comfort with gadgets. We grew up, of course, without gadgets. We grew up in a world where we would study with books and go out and play, and we would have free play. In fact, just playing things like Dog in the Bone, things like Catch Me If You Can. I don't know if I'm translating it to English correct, but
all versions of the same universal games for kids. Yeah.
And these kids now, they're having a lot of structured play. I don't know if it is good or bad.
Yeah.
But
we'll know in a few decades, I guess.
I know, yeah. But it's quite different. And the kind of connections we had with, let's say, our neighbors or with kids in our school I think it was more close than these guys are now being able to have. So for us, it's quite different, because we have chosen to be in a place where we can be close to family, close to neighbors, etc. But when I see people in other cities in India, kids are growing up in silos, really, and they have to be...
Because the perception would be that the Indian culture is very, very family focused. So is that changing a little bit?
I don't think that's changing, but I think it's just getting more difficult as more nuclear families are emerging. And especially because both mother and father are working now.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that, yes, we have a lot of house help. As much as we want, we can have that and we can afford that in India. That's the advantage of being there. But yeah,
I might move to India. House
you
help
might
sounds
actually.
So, with your experience in London, did you have a clear idea what the next step was? I want to start a business. Was that always the goal?
Not then. No, I don't think I knew what I wanted to do at that time. I think at that time I just wanted to basically pay off my loan and get a good job. And at that time, the opportunity that I got in India versus the ones that I was getting in London, the one in India was much, much more superior in terms of the opportunity and the financials as well.
Yeah.
So it was a no-brainer.
Just the seniority of the role?
Yes, yes. And the opportunity I was getting, so I was the first employee in India from the customer side, built their business from zero to $1 multi-million, the India business.
Okay. And what type of business was it?
It was an enterprise SaaS company. Okay. Yeah. So tech, completely software tech. And my to-be fiance, my husband now, was also there. So it was quite a no-brainer.
Okay.
So, and then we also got married right after I moved back from London. And yeah.
And so you kind of stayed in a similar lane to what you'd done prior to your MBA in the tech world, and what?
Actually, no.
No?
Prior to my MBA, I was not doing anything related to tech.
Oh, okay.
I was just a computer science engineer working in a consulting firm.
Right.
Majorly. And then I did a few stints here and there with some startups, with some technology firms here and there. But majorly it was consulting, and consulting for pharmaceutical companies.
Okay, right.
It was quite different.
Oh, very different, yeah.
And then after that, I moved on to a mix of tech plus management, which was this role in India.
Okay.
Yeah.
What point did this kind of urge to start a business of your own come about?
The COVID story, essentially. Mm-hmm. Even when I quit my job and then decided, okay, want to do something in climate, even at that point of time, it wasn't like I want to start my own business.
Okay.
Because that thought was very daunting at that time. I'm a first generation entrepreneur.
Yeah.
My dad has been in the same job for 35 years. So that's what we know, right?
Yeah,
stick to a job and then just do it. And so I think the way I started, it was just figure out where we are as a society, where we need to be when it comes to climate and sustainability.
Yeah.
What are the gaps that we need to fill? And then I started taking up projects within that. So the first of it, so like I said, at that time, I didn't really know where I want to spend my time in, because it was such a vast field. And this is 2020, so climate tech was not even this mature at that time. This is 5 years ago. At that time, with all of our research, we started to create programs, which were like 3 to 4 month programs for people, individuals, to move to a more sustainable lifestyle, more like educational programs.
Yeah.
So we were running 3 programs at that time. One was sustainable menstruation, one was plastics, and the other one was home composting.
Okay.
And this was the time when my brother Nikhil, he also then quit his job and then joined me full-time in building this, which was the first startup, Nature Healers, more of a social startup, a climate edtech company. Yeah. We also created an app out of it. But then because we are engineers, we were doing a lot of impact analysis, of course, with it. That, okay, where is it which is creating the most impact? And it was very easy to see that the composting bit, which is the food waste bit essentially, is where there lies an opportunity to bring in the maximum impact in terms of carbon dioxide emission reduction, and in terms of the biggest business opportunity, because nobody is working on it.
And were you...
Especially because...
Specifically in India or worldwide?
Worldwide.
Worldwide,
right? Because food waste is such a big problem. Even here, if you see in Ireland, the place where I was staying in, you have bins for glass, for recyclables, and then there is mixed waste. So there is nothing specifically for food waste, right? So that basically just probably goes into the landfill or gets incinerated. And that is a lot of loss of nutrients, and it is a loss of carbon dioxide emissions, right? So that realization is what made us work more towards food waste in general. And through that journey, I think we looked at some 105 variations of food waste substrate and organisms and how they would work together. We ran thousands of controlled experiments, optimizing on biomass reduction and the speed of conversion.
Okay.
And then at the end of it, we finally have a unique solution now with which we are able to, which is essentially a unique combination of process, ingredients, and technology.
Okay. So the journey is kind of interesting.
Yes.
You did what everyone is advised to do and worked on something you're interested in the first place, which is, and then start small and kind of identify some big issue and then kind of see a gap. So that's a great way to go about it, I guess. And tell us about BillionCarbon. You kind of introduced the problem you identified, but maybe flesh that out a bit more. What is that problem and what is, I guess, different about your solution to this problem?
Right. So I think we are tackling two big problems. One is that the waste crisis of the world is really escalating, and 60% of the world's waste is actually food waste. So when this goes untreated, it emits methane. And methane is a gas which is 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide when it comes to global warming. Most of the food waste right now across the world goes untreated because the current treatment methods are slow or expensive. So they may take 30 plus days, for example, composting. They may be very expensive to set up, for example, biogas or pyrolysis. They emit a lot of foul odor in the process. They would require large land areas.
Can be a dirty enough process.
It is a dirty job, right? Because if food waste is not treated the same day, then it starts to rot. Basically, nature starts to do its work.
Yeah.
And hence, if you'll see that there was no viable solution that could really scale and do this job at scale. The second problem is soil degradation. So 40% of the world's soil is currently degraded due to chemical overuse. And what this leads to is agricultural productivity loss, which eventually then leads to risking the world's food security and livelihoods. Now,
you're in the cycle of the land is getting less fertile, so just more chemicals are used. And it goes on and on.
It just goes on and on unless you stop it and start to reverse it. Which also is a process, and it's quite a scientific process, right? But the problem here is that organic alternatives right now, they just struggle to match the cost plus yields. They may match the costs, but then the yields may not be as much. They may match the yields, but then the cost would be too high. Hence, it doesn't become a viable alternative to most farmers across the world. And that is becoming a barrier to solving for soil degradation.
So you have plenty of farmers who would like the idea or the concept of doing things in a more kind of manner that's kind of kinder to the soil and to the land. But it's difficult to make that count in the bottom line.
You know what happens in India? Smallholder farmers, they know that chemicals are bad. So what they would do is they're going to have a small plot of land at the side where they do not use the chemicals for themselves and for their family.
Okay.
And then the big acres of land, they would use a lot of chemicals, a lot of urea, so that they're able to get the maximum yield possible, and they get the maximum money from the market.
So they have their personal plot, which is, don't touch that please. It's
exactly.
Like it's all the tech billionaires, they won't let their kids on social media. It's
exactly, yeah. And then, of course, this leads to a lot of farmer cancer as well. Because especially in developing countries in India, what they do on the ground is they don't care what is the prescription for, this is the grammage for urea to be put in this particular crop in this season. They don't care about that. What they will hear is, okay, I can increase my yield by putting in some urea. Let's do it. They'll just take the urea and throw it, take the urea and throw it. And hence, it comes into direct contact with their hands. They don't like to wear gloves or anything. No PPE, nothing. And that, of course, urea is just an example, but a lot of other chemicals are used, and that leads to a lot of farmer cancer.
Yeah.
So I think one fact that has stayed with me from our initial research is the tea that we drink. Most of the tea that we drink is, of course, non-organic. There is hardly any organic tea out there in the market. And it takes 160 different types of chemicals across the year to grow that tea.
Wow.
And then you bring it to your home, you boil it in the water, and then you drink it.
Yeah.
All of it is going in you. So
well,
yeah.
I'm one of those very rare people. I don't drink tea or coffee, and that has just really
good for you.
Emboldened my position. It wasn't any health kick, just to have no taste for it, so, or never. I don't think I've ever drank a bit of tea in my life, but I'm never going to. After hearing that, I'm never going to start now.
Yeah, but every time I drink tea, I just decide to forget that.
Yeah,
and just because tea in India it's not that much for the taste. It is just like 5 minutes of breather where you just sit and sip that.
It's a pillar of your day.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm sure your tea consumption was up in Ireland because you're a bit colder, so you're probably hugging a...
Oh, see, this is just hot water.
Okay, they're very good, very good. You've set the scene there nicely. I mean, it's a huge problem, but you're coming at it with a kind of a commercial slant. So what is different about your solution, and how can that work out commercially, I guess, for your customers?
Yeah. I think it was very clear from the beginning that any problem of climate cannot be solved at the household or at the individual level. If we are to take it at scale, we need to do it at an industrial or a commercial level, because that is where the maximum amount of emissions and impact is coming from. Hence, that's what we had in mind from the beginning, and we wanted to create a commercial solution where we can treat food waste with the maximum biomass reduction and with the maximum speed of conversion. So, let me give you a taste of what was there before we even started our research. Yeah. So, biomass reduction, the maximum you can get is through...
No, I'm going to stop you there for a second.
Okay.
So someone who doesn't know what biomass reduction is,
sorry.
let's put it in the ladybird sense. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. In treating food waste, there are two things which are important. The first one is biomass reduction, which is if you're putting in, let's say, 100 kgs of food waste, how much of the end product are you getting out of it?
In your traditional composting process is what you're comparing it to. Yeah.
Yes. That's the first thing, of course. And then there are slightly better methods after that. So traditional composting, for example, would reduce the biomass only by 40%, which means that 100 kgs of food waste goes in, 60 kgs of compost would come out. And then you still have to handle the 60 kgs.
And the rest is gas and other things that are released.
Yes, it's mostly moisture that gets evaporated.
Yeah.
And of course, the microbes that do their job over the 30-45 days, they would digest, and then it would get converted to heat energy and evaporation mostly.
Okay.
So that 60 kg at the end of the day still has to be handled. And because it is so high in volume, it is low in nutrients in terms of it's not nutrient dense. So there's only so much that you can transport from one place to another because it's also heavy.
Yeah.
Then other examples are, on the other extreme is incineration. Incineration is essentially you would just put it in and just burn it, right?
Yeah.
It would reduce the biomass by a lot. But in turn, it would destroy all nutrients because you're basically heating it up. You're heating it up almost up to 60 or 80 or even 100 degrees in some cases. All nutrients would be lost. The biomass would be reduced to around 10-20% maybe. So 100 kg is reduced to 10 to 20% of inert soil, which you can put in your gardens. It will just increase the amount of soil, but it will not add any nutrients.
Well, it's ash, I guess, really.
It is ash, right? And also because it uses a lot of electricity, incineration, for example, it's very costly.
Very inefficient.
Very inefficient, very costly. You are using energy to get rid of the waste and then getting nothing out of that.
You're using energy to get rid of nutrients, basically. Yeah,
exactly. Just, not my problem anymore kind of thing.
Down. Yeah.
Yeah. The second factor is the speed of conversion. So composting is on one end where you preserve all nutrients, but the speed is very slow, 45 days usually. Or in a country like Ireland, it takes 6 months sometimes because of the weather. Speed of conversion here, as compared to, let's say, incineration, you can do it in like 4 hours. but of course, nothing good comes out of it, right? So what we saw was that there was really no solution which was solving all of these problems in a scalable, in a balanced way, which can be commercialized and can be scaled for industries, for municipalities, for everywhere around the world. And so that's where we started our research from. How can we make this better? What do we have in nature already? What technologies do we have across the world which people might be using, which we may be able to adopt and make better and enhance and maybe combine together to make the process operationally efficient, low cost, and scalable. So that's what essentially we spent about 2 years doing. We looked at 105 variations of food waste substrate combined with different kinds of organisms, put in different kinds of climatic environments. We ran thousands of controlled experiments, optimizing on these two, biomass conversion and speed of conversion. And then at the end of the day, what we have is a technology with which we are able to reduce the biomass of food waste by 95% in 3 days or less. Okay. And this is unheard of in the industry.
Yeah.
The solution that we have now is proving to be so efficient and so efficacious, even for our clients, that once they actually come to us, once they start using our technology, they just cannot go back to anything else, really. So it makes no economical sense, and it makes no functional sense to go back to any other technology. And that's a big validation that,
So the alternatives were composting, which only reduces by 40% and leaves you with a very nutrient-dense, but
nutrient light,
but products that's kind of large in scale and volume.
Yes.
You have incineration, which reduces by 90%, but you're left with all nutrients kind of gone.
Yeah.
Or your alternative, which is quicker, reduces by 95%, and you're left with a very, very nutrient-dense end product, which can be reutilized. So is that circular thing? You're maintaining your nutrients, but then you also have a product which can be used to grow the next crop, or then keep those nutrients in the system.
That's right. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
And speed, if I'm picking you up right, is the key attraction for clients, as you told them. But who are your clients? Who have you kind of gone after? And who maybe have you been surprised or interested in your offering?
So our clients are essentially bulk waste generators. Bulk waste generators are essentially any organization that is producing anywhere upwards from 200 kg, 300 kgs of waste per day, food waste per day, up to, let's say, 10 tons per day, 20 tons per day. And these come in different forms. So these could be corporates or tech parks or even municipalities, right? So they essentially have food waste, which is a big problem for them. If I talk only about India right now, then currently the only option they have is either organic waste composter machines or biogas, or just throw them to the landfill.
Yeah.
The problem with these three are organic waste composter machines are very expensive to install, very expensive to operate, and again, they're just fancy composters. So they take a lot of time, and then what they give out at the end of the day, the 60% of the reduced biomass still has to be handled, still has to be dried over acres of land before it can be used. Biogas, on the other hand, is very expensive to install. It takes years to deploy. If I start now, I'll probably have to plan, construct, and then at the end of the day, at the end of 3 years, probably it will start operations.
Yeah.
So you have to, as a corporate or as an industry, you have to plan 3 years ahead of, I think my food waste in 2028 is going to be 5 tons per day, so I need to set it up right now.
Yeah.
And that's practically impossible, right?
Yeah.
By the time you get to that point, you're already way above that.
Yeah. A lot can change in 3 years.
A lot changes in 3 years. And municipalities have similar problems, except that the buck stops at them, so they really cannot throw it back to the landfill, which they do sometimes. But even the kind of solutions that they're using right now are waste to energy. which is a form of incineration. And a lot of them have put up biogas plants with similar problems. So they've put up like 100 tons per day of biogas plants, but now the waste coming in is 150 tons. So what do we do of the rest of the 50 tons? That just goes into the landfill.
Yeah.
So these are the major profiles of our clients right now.
So would it be food preparation businesses, supermarkets, hotels, or what kind of sectors?
These would be, so these would be aggregated, I would say. Okay. For example, food preparation businesses or hotels, or these usually in most cities across the world, the municipalities usually pick up the waste. Mm-hmm. So then we are going into a little more detail into the business model now. So we operate in two ways then. One is we work directly with either the municipality or the bulk waste generator. We set up the site at their place, and then they bring in the food waste to us. Or the other model is where we become an aggregator for these small bulk waste generators.
Right.
And then they bring or we bring the waste to a central location, a central site.
Yeah.
Let's say within a ward, a 5 kilometer square radius, and then we treat it over there.
So an organic waste producer, let's say, that wouldn't have the scale to warrant by themselves having your facilities on site. But
That's right.
You can aggregate them and pool together.
Yes. Because usually hotels, restaurants, they don't produce more than 50 kgs, 100 kgs of waste per day. Yeah.
Or else the food isn't very nice if they're producing much more
I
than
know,
that.
Yeah. They've
not a lot of clean plates if they're producing that amount of.
No, not just clean plates. I think they've created a very good operations of the restaurant, of the food industry. So not a lot of food goes waste, especially in the preparation.
Yeah.
So they would probably prepare, let's say, the sauces, and then the same sauce would be frozen and used for days. After you know that, it's not that appetizing to eat it. But the good thing is, not a lot
of people are going to be put off tea and their regular midweek
true,
meals.
Right? Yeah. If you're working in the hotel industry, you'll know this. That a lot of the pre-prep is actually prepared and then frozen and then used for days, weeks, or even months.
Yeah. People don't want to know how the sausages are made. They just want to eat the sausages.
Yeah, they just want to eat the sausages.
Ignorance is bliss.
So even I turn off my brain every time I go and eat in a restaurant or hotel.
Yeah.
But the good thing is they don't waste a lot of food. Yeah.
Well, I remember being at a wedding, the morning after a wedding with my wife, and I pointed out that the sausages on our plate were obviously deep fried in a deep fryer, and she was never able to look at it the same way again. So she,
yes,
once you learn something, it's hard to unlearn it. How long has the business been up and running, and where does the name come from?
Wow. Okay, two big questions. The name. Let me answer that first. The name comes from our mother, actually, my Nikhil's mother.
Okay.
And when we had the technology, when we knew that, okay, now is the time to take it to market, we had a lot of options. Okay, this is what we can name us. We knew that our aim is to mitigate a lot of carbon dioxide equivalent emission. And we were like, okay, what's a big number? Let's make it million.
What's
okay?
a lot? Yeah.
What's a big number? Million. And so we looked up domain names. Okay, BillionCarbon, it's available. And then our mother is like, why are you thinking so small? Why million? It should be billion. So that's where the name comes from. Okay. And that's where our dream comes from. We want to be able to mitigate 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent and create 100,000 climate jobs by 2030. We are pretty much on track for that. And that's where the name comes from.
Wow. So that's cool to have the family link there.
Yeah.
And a very clear vision of where you want to get to, which is great for any business.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you go about setting those goals? I mean, you've talked about Nikhil. I know your husband,
yes.
Vikram, is also involved. So who's on the team, and how are you going to get to that 100,000?
Right. So Nikhil and I, we are the original co-founders, and then Vikrant is a serial entrepreneur himself. So after he sold his previous company, he spent 6 months chilling, raising our baby. And then about
raising a
6
baby
months ago,
isn't a very chill experience. Just
yes. But it's a fun experience, right? So spending time with our baby, which he wasn't able to do a lot while he was doing his own startup. And so I think about 6 to 8 months ago, he decided to join us full time. Even before that, he was, of course, always involved in our strategy discussions, technology, operations, everything. But officially, he joined us pretty recently. And I think this is now our core team, the 3 co-founders.
So it's very much a family affair.
It is, yeah. And I think that's a great thing.
What's that dynamic like?
It's pretty good, I would say. And I'll tell you why. All 3 of us are engineers, and we all come from the same college, BITS Pilani. Fortunate enough to get into the same college out of the 1 million.
Wow, yeah. You all studied hard as teenagers. Yeah,
yes,
well done.
Yeah. And so I think the simple thing is that when you have so much talent concentrated into the same family, you really don't need to go looking elsewhere, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And because we've been together, we've been working together for 15 years or so, right? Working on different things, of course. We know our strengths and weaknesses. We know how we react to stress situations. We know how we react to difficult conversations.
Yeah.
So we essentially have created an ecosystem or a framework around the 3 co-founders where we all play to our strengths and we leave the weakness to the other one. I'll tell you how that works. So we have 3 business units. We have growth, we have execution and operations, and we have finance and admin. And 2 each of us handle each one of that.
Okay.
So there's an overlap. For example, me and Nikhil, we handle finance and admin, and we handle finance and admin, and me and Vikrant, we handle growth, and Nikhil and Vikrant, they handle execution and operations. Okay. So that ways we complement each other.
It's like a Venn diagram, and there's overlap. Okay.
Yeah. We complement each other. We help each other, and we have an overlap for whenever one is not available. And that's working out quite well.
Okay.
We didn't reach here on day one, of course.
Yeah.
It took several iterations, and now we have the structure that's working very well. Yeah.
Well, I talked to Gary Fox in a previous episode of this, and he talked about he's got a Gary operating system, which for people who work with him and people who join him, this is the way I like to work. And then the logic being what you just said, compliment him where he's weak, and then there's no ambiguity and stuff. So you've come about that in a kind of nice organic way, I guess. A bit of trial and error, but you've got to that point.
Exactly, yeah. And I think many times even we ourselves didn't know what we were good at or not good at, which we got to know only after we did it. Yeah. For example, I am not very good at operations and operations handling and everyday firefighting. Yeah. But Vikrant is a superstar at that. Okay. And Nikhil is really good at executing new projects, figuring out what the grammage for each one, the science essentially, right? Yeah. And so both of them together, they form a stellar team when it comes to execution and operations. Yeah. So those kind of dynamics.
I think being conscious and self-aware about what your strengths and weaknesses are very important, and not a lot of people. Yeah. Not even all that common.
I don't think even the 3 of us are self-aware about the little things, but the 3 of us together make each other aware about the little things, which is easy to do because we are family as well. I think it would be difficult to do if we were like stranger co-founders, because it's difficult to communicate about people's weaknesses, right? Yeah.
They're difficult conversations, often come at times of stress. But circle back to what you said, that Indian culture of kind of work till it's done and make sure it's perfect, and work till midnight, and that. How do you manage that, being co-founders and a team? Can you park it in the evening and have your family time and pick it up again the next morning, or do you have the balance right yet?
I think the way we have managed that is there is no work and there is no life. Everything is work and life. Yeah. Because, for example, Kabir is here with us, with me and Vikrant right now, on our business meetings. He's 2 years old, and he's a typical example of a second-generation entrepreneur. Yeah. He will know exactly what it means by the time he's 5 of what a meeting is, what, let's say, a fundraiser is, or whatever, right? Yeah. He will know all these words already These words which I got to know when I was 30 or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. In American sports, they talk about a coach's son makes a great footballer or a great coach himself because they've been dragged along to everything from a small age.
Exactly. So I think that's the thing. And for example, even for, and it's the same, right? When we are here, it might be a Sunday or it might be a Saturday or it might be 8 p.m. and we might be out having dinner and we would be having a business conversation.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it might be Monday 11 a.m. and we might be tending to Kabir.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a double-edged sword, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you enjoy your work, it doesn't feel like
it doesn't feel like work
you're
at all.
sacrificing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Which is a great great way to be.
Yeah.
You're obviously a female CEO. What has that journey been like? Is that still unusual in India, or are there much supports out there?
It's rare. I would say it's not unusual anymore. So you wouldn't find a lot of female entrepreneurs in India or even in the world right now. But it's not unusual in the sense that now I don't think people see women entrepreneurs very differently like they were seeing 5 or 10 years ago. And I think that's the short answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where in India are you guys from? And where it's a vast country with a lot of cultural differences and geographic differences. So just maybe set the scene for people.
Yes. So originally we are from Rajasthan. We are currently living in Gujarat and building the business from there. These are 2 big states in India, both of them in the western part of India.
Okay.
So the culture in both of these states in India is very much around business.
Okay.
And that has helped us a lot. Like we have learned a lot from our neighbors, and we live in a society of entrepreneurs, I would say.
Okay.
And all of our neighbors are big business owners.
Okay.
People have 6 businesses running, and people have like 3 entrepreneurial ventures. They might be starting off something new. And that culture in itself sets the tone for, okay, why are you thinking small? Start thinking big, right? And this is how you should think big.
So there's a whole ecosystem that you've kind of been able to plug into.
Yeah.
And what is that world like? Is there much kind of support to set up a business? Are there accelerator programs? Is there state financing to help you get off the ground?
Yes, I think the last 5 to 10 years, I would say, have been phenomenal in India for that. And from the government, in fact, the support has been huge in terms of accelerators, in terms of incubators, and in terms of generally funding for pilot programs or building a prototype or doing research. And in fact, that has helped us fuel the initial research and product development for us as well. So we are currently a part of several incubator programs in India, which are helping us in different things. For example, a couple of them are for agriculture specifically. And we have received a big grant from the government of India right now for field trials of our biofertilizers and getting them to market.
Which is the key step.
Which is the key step, right? Because that's where the money will come from.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have other incubators which are helping us in our business growth, or let's say our marketing, or we have others which have helped us in building our bioreactor technology on the industrial engineering front. Also, like these incubators are usually affiliated with universities in India.
Okay.
So scientists and professors also come through that.
Yeah.
So most of our projects, most of our science research projects, for example, around entomology or plant physiology or soil microbiology, these have been run by scientists who are specializing in that field from that university and from that incubator. So that way, it's a very strong ecosystem now that we are being able to tap into.
Yeah, which has been a big leg up.
Yes.
And you talked about Kabir being kind of a second generation entrepreneur, but what are your ambitions for the business? Would you like it to scale it and exit it, or would you like to have something for Kabir to get involved in, or have you thought that far ahead?
Not thought about that. I think we first want to reach the scale that we want to reach to, which is the 1 billion tons by 2030. And then the exit plans would become quite clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, too early right now.
And you had a figure there of 100,000
Climate jobs.
Yes. So is that working directly for BillionCarbon, or where do you see that?
Directly and indirectly. So the way we work in terms of our working model of employment is that we have a lean team which is directly on our payroll, and then the rest is usually contract workers. For example, the ground staff especially is usually contract workers.
Yeah.
And that helps in management as well. And that is included in the entire climate jobs portfolio that we want to build.
I've seen on your website, and we've actually talked before in relation to, there's an angle about the kind of health benefits for the workers involved in other dirtier processes, let's say.
Yes.
I know it's something you feel very strongly about, so you might just talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. This one really validated what we were doing. So usually, I think we all know that the condition of waste workers all across the world is very abysmal. And especially in India, working with food waste, because it starts rotting and it spreads diseases, waste workers are really not given any PPE kits. Even if they're given gloves or anything, they really don't want to wear them, or it's not easy for them to work with them. So they just avoid.
Okay.
And that then leads to a lot of diseases, a lot of missed paydays, a lot of missed school days due to the diseases spreading within the family. And so...
bad for the employee and bad for the employer as well.
Yes, bad for both. So when we started running a few of our pilots, and one of the workers that was with us, he was earlier working with an OWC machine, which essentially was giving out at the end of the day sludge, which was not even compost. And sludge essentially has to be dried out for about a month before it stops smelling and before it stops spreading any diseases. And this guy would have to really use a shovel to put it in the truck, and then the truck would go somewhere and then dump it. And this was an everyday job.
Slow, dirty and manual kind of work.
Yes, absolutely manual. And this was an everyday job, right? Because every day the OWC machine is getting in 100 kgs, let's say, and then spitting out 60 kgs, which is left. And 100 kgs is a small scale. Usually OWC machines work at 2 tons per day or 3 tons per day, that kind of a scale. So imagine 1 ton of sludge being handled every day. That's bad.
Yeah.
And then this guy, when we gently asked him about how's it going, how are you finding the new technology, new environment, and he said this in Gujarati, and it has really stuck with me.
You're going to translate into
English, yes. It doesn't feel like working in a waste treatment site. Earlier, I used to have 3 to 4 sick days per month. Now it is 0.
Wow.
And this was huge for us. This was a huge validation.
Yeah.
Of course, when we started, we didn't think that this would be a side effect. We just wanted to reduce emissions and make some money, of course.
Yeah.
And this came out to be such a strong side effect, side benefit, that this has really motivated us even more.
Absolutely. That's amazing. It's something that you weren't even planning for, I guess, that came along. That's a huge, having proper impact on people's lives. So that's one side of it. But then I guess if you put your commercial hat on, your whole process, what's different about, I guess, is these enzymes that break down. So how do you get that balance right to make sure it's as efficient and effective as possible in reducing that organic matter?
What we now have is a consortium of micro and macroorganisms that work inside our self-regulating bioreactors. And this is an entirely calibrated process. And the calibration is for the food waste substrate, the organism quantity and the frequency, the temperature and humidity that has to be maintained inside the bioreactors. This combination, every time we get it right, which we do now, the biomass reduction is 90 to 95%, and the speed is 3 days or less. And that's the sweet spot that we want to hit continually for all of our sites.
And a lot of your work goes into getting that mix right of the micro and
Yes,
macroorganisms, I guess.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of trial and error to get to that point. But once you've got it cracked and it knows your conditions, you can. So 100 kilos of food waste can be brought down to 5 to 10
5 kgs.
kilos
Yes,
of this
yeah, that's right.
nutrient dense
Yes,
fertilizer.
and how we really achieve this is now what happens inside the bioreactor is a mix of three things, three natural processes, which we have accelerated. It's a mix of digestion, rapid composting, and solid state fermentation. So all of this is happening inside at the same time in a very balanced manner, which is able to achieve these results at the end. Yeah.
And so what are you left with at the end of the day? Let's say you get to the end of 3 days, everything's gone perfectly. What's left? And what do you do with that?
So what's left is, we don't usually harvest it at the end of 3 days. We have optimized the process such that there are two outputs that come out of it. One is the liquid biofertilizer concentrate, and the other is a solid frass compost. Now, the liquid biofertilizer can be extracted very easily through a tap at the bottom of our bioreactors. And we do this.
Typically a clear liquid or
It's a clear, light brown, slightly acidic, fruity smelling liquid.
Okay.
And this we harvest usually once a week or so.
Okay.
The solid frass compost needs to be harvested only once in 3 months.
Okay.
That is how simple the operations are now.
And what can both of these substrates be used for?
So both of these are highly potent agricultural inputs. Agriculture or horticulture gardens, anywhere, right? These are fertilizers. And these are currently in R&D and field trials, not yet commercially available. And both of these are proving to be very micronutrient rich bio inputs, which are promoting growth and regenerating soil at the same time. So the solid frass compost is 3 times more potent than vermicompost.
Okay.
The liquid biofertilizer is giving results which are much better than chemicals, such that in some of the results, in some of the field trials, we have seen the yield increase to be up to 24% as compared to chemicals.
Okay.
And that is huge.
That's huge, yeah. Yeah. And so what's the next step to commercialize that? And
the next step that we are currently undergoing is complete the field trials so that we are able to validate it, get the certifications needed, then productize it, and then take it to market. So how we are planning to do it is through a distributor network rather than wanting to build a brand out of it ourselves, because agriculture is a very different field altogether. And we would want to utilize the expertise of people who already know it to actually get into that market and get our organic fertilizers being used by farmers.
Yeah. So it kind of closes that loop of putting it back into the soil and helping kind of boost new growth, but then also for farmers potentially to have an alternative that's cheaper and kinder to the soil.
That's right. We are expecting this to be much more affordable because of the circular way in which it is manufactured, as compared to, let's say, urea or DAP. DAP is diammonium phosphate, I think, which have to be manufactured from fossil fuels. So it's a linear process, due to which it is also sort of expensive when you are using it at scale.
Yeah. Okay. And what are your plans? I suppose you're on a trip to Europe at the moment. I think you're mixing vacation time with a bit of business, but where do you see the future of the business? I mean, obviously India is an enormous market, but do you see kind of potential for this in Europe and beyond?
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, that is our aim for the next 24 months. We are expanding into at least 2 new geographies. Europe is one, and then Middle East is the other one. And India market is huge, and there is what we are expanding as well. And this trip to Europe is, in fact, for that we are talking with partners. We are laying the groundwork for when we do, how are we going to expand into Europe. So I think it's a long game, of course. It's still probably 6 months, 8 months away. But the groundwork, the strong groundwork foundation, we are laying for it right now.
Well, congratulations on your success to date. It's an amazing business and working in a really important area. So if someone wants to find out a bit more about BillionCarbon, get in touch with you and maybe potential customers out there, where can they find out more?
Our website is a good start, www.BillionCarbon.com. And then, of course, we can be reached via email, info@BillionCarbon.com. And my LinkedIn is also very active, Ankita Vijayvergiya. If you search with BillionCarbon, you'll find me. And you can just drop in a note and we can get in touch.
Or they can just ask me, I'll point them in your direction.
Or you can ask David.
Well, congratulations on all your success to date. Richly deserved, and I can't wait to see what happens over the next few years with the business. And thanks many for coming in today.
Well, thank you so much, David, for having me. It was indeed a pleasure being here.
Thanks many for tuning into that episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you want to learn more about growing further, check out growingfurther.io and check out more of these podcast episodes wherever you do get your podcasts and on YouTube. Thank you very much.